Welcome to Spider Project tutorial. Today we're covering contract cost as a cost component of our project, and we're also going to look at how to set up cost centers. We have a project example, 1 kilometer of road construction, with phases, activities, and dependencies set up. We have also set up our resource table. This is where we have human resources and machinery. We have assigned these resources to the activities. We can look at the assignments here as well. We have defined the volume of work for the activities where applicable. And we have calculated the duration of our activities and the project based on the assigned resources productivity and the volume of defined work. We also have set up our materials, and we know what the material consumption is, as we have assigned materials to activities and resources. So this is a view of the materials assignment. And we have set up cost components for our project as well. The indirect cost has been calculated as a certain percentage, and the total project cost is now a summary of all of the cost components that we have defined. Labor, machinery, material cost, external services, and indirect cost. And now it's time to set up the contract cost for your project plan and look at how to work with the cost centers in Spider Project. Depending on the contract cost can be set up in different ways in Spider Project. Sometimes it's just a fixed cost contract. Sometimes it could be cost per unit of volume of work, and that will be paid under the contract. In other words, time and material based. This scenario is applicable when the volume of work is not really well understood at the time of the contract signing. In our example, let's assume we have a fixed cost contract. First of all, the contract cost needs to be set up as a cost component. So let's go to the main menu view, cost components, and create a new cost component. Go right mouse click or insert button, and now we have a new cost component set up. Double click on that new line item, get into the cost component form, and call it contract cost. And also need to make sure that the unique coding is set up for that as well. So now we have a new cost component set up called contract cost. Let's go back to the activity Gantt view. For our example, we don't need the indirect cost in this view, so I'm just going to hide this column. And the column I need to bring into the view is the contract cost column. So I'm going right click on the table header, go show columns, go in the cost components area, and let's bring into the view the contract cost. And because it's a fixed contract, let's make sure that the expenditure type is set up to the fixed. So now we have the contract cost fixed column visible in the activity Gantt view. The next step is to actually put the values of the contract cost as per our contract, and in the example that we are using, it's a fixed contract. So I'm just going to copy paste some of the values I've prepared earlier for this example to save our time typing. And now we can see that the contract cost as a fixed parameter was added to the project plan. I'd like to note here that we are not going to get any payment from the client for project management activities directly, as we assume that this expense is covered by the indirect cost, and also the sand and crushed stone transportation is delivered by a supplier. Also, a quick note on the total project cost. This is a direct cost and does not include any profit. Hence, the contract cost in our example is higher than project net cost. And now, if we calculate our project again, for that, let's go to the main menu and click the cost and material calculation button. I'm going to leave all the settings as they are by default, and I'm just going to calculate our project. What we can see is that total project cost is now a summary of all of the cost components that we have set up, including the contract cost. And this is an anomaly. We need to fix this. And the way to fix this would be to set up our cost centers. Let's set up the cost centers for our plan. Go to the main menu View, Cost, Cost Centers. And let's create a new cost center. Go right mouse click New or press the Insert button and double click on that line item, get into the cost center form. This cost center, I'm going to call it Expenses. And let's make sure that the unique code is set up for that as well. Now let's add all of the cost components that will form the expenses of our project. Go into that cost center form again, go to participants area and add all of the cost components by going to this area and add button. And I'm going to select by holding the shift key all of the cost components like material, machine, labor, indirect cost, external services, all of these cost components that will form the expenses of our project. And I will leave out the contract cost from this group. I also need to add all of the materials into this materials area. Go add button, and all of the materials that are going to be an expense for our project, we need to add into this expenses cost center. If there would be some materials that will be, delivered to us by a supplier, and it would not be our expense, these materials would not need to be included into the expenses cost center. But in this example, all of these materials is something that we pay for as a project. So I'm going to hit OK button and apply and OK. So now all of these ingredients are forming the expenses of our project. And now let's create a cost center for the contract cost. Right click New, double click on the new cost center item, contract, and let's make sure that the unique code is set up as well. Go OK, and let's add the cost component, which in this case will be only one contract cost as a cost component. And our two cost centers are now set up, expenses and contract cost. Let's go back to the activity again view and calculate our project. So I'm not going to use the total cost, this column. It's for reference only for now. I'm going to hide it because it becomes meaningless with adding all of the cost components in our particular example. I'm also going to hide the contract cost fix because it's just a reference column. We hide in it. What we are really interested in looking at is the columns that relate to the cost centers. I'm going to bring these columns into the view. Go right mouse click on the table header, show columns, and the columns I'm going to bring now well, they will be from the cost centers area, and I'm going to bring the contract cost center and the expenses cost center as well into our view. And this way we can actually see how much our project actually costs, expenses column, the total of all the expenses in our project, and how much we're going to get paid by as per the contract. And this is the contract column here. Obviously, the difference is something that we are really interested in because that's where our profit is. And that's how you use the cost components in combination with the cost centers in Spider projects and have clear visibility of your total project net cost versus the contract cost. And in our example, we looked at the fixed cost contract. Let's also update the diagram that we've got below because it's still referring to the total project cost, which is a column that is summarizing all of the cost components. And in our example, this is meaningless. So because we're referring to the cost centers now rather than that summary column, right click and go to the parameters of this diagram. And I'm going to remove the total cost from the diagram and bring into the view the cost centers instead, the contract and expenses cost centers both. And let's say OK. And what happens is that my diagram is now showing me the distribution of my project expenses versus the contract cost. And actually, I don't like that yellow color for my expenses. Let's go and change it. Right click on that diagram, go into the settings, select expenses as the line on the graph, and going to press this button color. And I think I like to change my expenses to be I don't know, green color. So and hit OK and apply. And now I think I like it a bit more. Thank you for watching our video today, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Bye bye.